A very warm welcome from me, Anina, to all our listeners this morning. We have a special guest visiting ARP Studios today, and she is from the SANBS. Welcome, Roshell Pillay.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Alfa-Eden Education Center will be hosting a special marker day on the 9th of August from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the SANBS will be there as well, so please come and meet them and support them. Now, Roshell, I read that the very first successful blood transfusion took place in England in 1665 by Dr. Richard Lower, and he actually kept dogs alive by the transfusing of blood from one dog to other dogs. And I also want to share with our listeners this morning, before I hand the microphone to you, that the stock that the SANBS need to maintain a good blood stock supply of 5 days minimum, if I'm correct, Roshell, for each blood group to sustain blood availability for patients in need is about a 5 days minimum quota.
That's 100% correct.
Okay, and on 1 June 2023, the SANBS faced a severe blood stock shortage, according to my research.
Very true.
Now, Roshell, please tell us what causes that shortage.
So during the winter months, we have donors, regular donors, public people, as we all know, go through flu season. It is also the next crisis on that. We collect a lot of blood from school blood drives, learners that are 16 years and over, and our tertiaries. And these institutions are busy with exams at that time. So while they're busy with exams, they do not donate blood. So that has a severe decrease in our blood collections.
I see. That's very interesting. And tell me, I find it very interesting to hear that you also focus on people 16 years and older. That includes schools, obviously.
Correct.
Do you find that your more mature donors, your regular donors, also lessen their donations during the winter season? Because I read also that the weather, cold weather, also affects people's enthusiasm to donate.
Most definitely, because remember, you come to a donor site and you roll up your sleeve. And in winter, nobody wants to roll up their sleeve.
Of course. Roshell, I want to get to the mission statement and the purpose, the core purpose of the SANBS.
Okay, great. So the mission of the South African National Blood Service is to provide patients with sufficient, safe, quality blood and blood products and medical service related to a blood transfusion in an equitable, cost-effective manner. When I say blood and blood products, when a unit of blood is being donated, when an individual donates blood, that one unit of blood helps save 3 lives. From that unit of blood, we make 3 products. The one product is called the whole blood, which you see as the physical donation. That is transfused to patients in severe accidents, blood loss. Then we make a product called platelets. This is white clear looking, if you put it that way, and that helps our cancer patients. It's a clotting factor.
Oh, that's very interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. And then we make other products as well, albumin, for example, and this helps the patients that suffer with severe burnt wounds.
That is extremely interesting. So it's a very all-encompassing service, actually, that you render the public. You know, I'm thinking that each one of us that would qualify to be a donor should actually
most definitely
man up, so to speak, and go and donate, because you never know when you might be the one who might be in dire need of blood. Correct?
Absolutely.
Roshell, please tell me what year, when was the SANBS founded in South Africa?
So we are 21 years in existence. But prior to that, it was known as, the company was known as the South African Blood Transfusion Service. And then we got onto the South African National Blood Service.
Ah, I see. I see. So we already got to the main focus point in your previous answer. I just want to ask you, of course, there are certain blood groups. Could you tell us a little bit more about the blood groups that exist, within each human? And then also tell us a little bit more about which blood group is really in high demand.
Great. So we have the blood groups, namely O, B, and A. And each of the blood group is known as a positive and a negative. That's the antibodies and antigens an individual has. So that's how the negative and positive comes by. The highest demand blood group is the O.
That's very interesting. Why?
The O is known as our universal donor. The O blood group can be transfused and is compatible to all other blood groups.
That is fantastic. Do you find that you regularly get people with the O blood type group?
Yes. So if you look at the percentage-wise, there's 53% of the population has the O blood group.
Oh, I see. Very interesting. Please tell me, I'm a first-time donor. Number one, how do I qualify to be a donor? What are you people looking at in an individual? And then also tell us exactly how does it work for the first-time donor. What can they expect? How must they prepare themselves?
Great. So as the first-time donor, the fear is there in people, but we from the National Blood Service point, we say, the need is much greater than what your fear is.
Of course.
So we have a basic minimum criteria. You need to be at the age of 16 till 75 as a new donor. And you need to weigh 50 kilograms and more.
Why?
That's the volume. So when you donate blood, the volume equals to your weight. If we take donors under the weight, you do tend to have a bad faint, and the capacity of your volume would have an effect.
Oh, I see. So it becomes a very negative experience for the individual.
And we don't want to lose donors on their first experience.
Just one more question, if I may. How much blood do you draw? How big is a unit if we talk about a unit of blood?
500 milliliters.
Oh, I see.
But remember, as an individual, the adult, we have 7 liters of blood in our system. In comparison to what we are taking out, it's very minimal.
So, Roshell, when we have our day here at Elofsdal, I'm a first-time donor. I come to you and I say, I would like to donate. Here I am. Here's my arm. How would you proceed? How do you go about it? Please give me a step-by-step breakdown. I'm a nervous first-time donor.
On arrival, we have a team of usually 5 to 6 employees. In that team, we have professional staff categorized in nursing staff and admin staff. So you would fill in a form, which we call a donor questionnaire, which soon will be taken out because we are working on a system where you would have the facility to download the app.
Oh, wonderful.
So when you get to any blood blood donation site, you would be filling in the app. If you do not have the facilities of downloading the app, we would have a tablet that you could do it on site.
Yes.
So for current, we don't have the app. So you'll fill in a donor questionnaire form. That form comprises of 3 different questions. One is the donor's details. We'd like to know your age, date of birth.
Yeah.
We also want to wish you happy birthday. So that's why we asked that.
That's very nice of you.
Thanks. So the second part of the form is your medical history. There are some medications a donor would be able to donate, but we need to know because at the end of the day, it's transfused to the patient. For example, if you have taken aspirin or Disprin, you may donate. But the product I spoke about earlier, the platelets, that has an impact on the quality of the platelet donation. So we would just put a sticker and red mark that you may donate, but your unit of blood would not be transfused to a patient that needs, the cancer patient that needs platelets, but we'd use the other products.
So it's very detailed how you go about deciding how the whole transfusion happens.
Most definitely.
And which blood, if I may say so, actually qualifies. So if I may ask also, say for instance, a person comes to you, say, I want to donate, but I have high blood pressure and I am on medication. Would you accept that donor?
So yes, we do have quite a thick SANBS Bible, I call it. It's protocols and it's standard operating practice. So the nursing staff would be ideally the best person to guide you. I'm just the marketing department, and these change quite often because we need to keep our donor healthy as possible. So that's why we have the changes.
Of course.
So like I've mentioned, there are medication you'll be able to donate with, but your doctor needs to know about it.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So if you say the doctor needs to know, I suppose that if an individual donates blood, that individual may also be able to use his own blood, his or her own blood, should they need it further down the road?
Yes, most definitely. But we do have a program that's called an autologous donation. Autologous is that if you know you are going for a planned operation, then you may do this procedure. For example, if you're going for an orthopedic, that is planned, you would know. Then you bank your own blood. So you would get permission from your doctor because at the end of the day, you are going for the operation, but you need to have good, healthy blood as well. You can donate. Usually the doctors predict about 2 to 3 units of blood needed for orthopedic. So you can start donating 6 to 4 weeks before the operation.
Oh.
That is the only time you would be allowed to donate at the shorter interval. Usually a donor donates once in every 56 days.
That's very reassuring to know that you may actually use your own blood. I'm certain there's people out there that would find that a comforting thought. There's another thing I want to ask you. How safe is the whole procedure?
It is 100% safe. All our equipment used is sterile. It's used for once only. All the seals are opened in front of the donor.
Wonderful.
For example, which sometimes does happen, where we're actually drawing the blood and we do not have a good vein on one hand and we move over to your next hand, that equipment is destroyed and we open up a new pack and break the seal in front of the donor.
And then how do you dispose of the material that you've used?
So we do have sharp containers, which goes out on our mobile blood drives and our fixed site. There is a procedure and a whole logistics with it. It gets into these sharp holders, sealed, transported back to our offices and picked up by medical waste companies.
Oh, wonderful.
And then it's incinerated.
Completely safe. There is no margin for error there.
Nothing.
Do people ever insist on you guys testing the blood for safety measures, for some or other kind of infection before they get a transfusion?
Yes, most definitely. So from the donor's perspective, whether you're a first-time donor or whether you're a donor that has donated 100 times, your blood gets tested every single time.
I see.
Even though your blood group never changes.
Yes.
But we need to be 100% sure that it is an O positive or B positive being transfused to the correct patient.
And there's no viruses or infections, lingering infections or...
So sometimes they might be picked up. Like I've said, I'm in the marketing department and that goes into our medical and technical. It does get picked up through the system. There are procedures and policies that has been in place.
That safeguards safeguards the donor as well as SANBS.
Yes, and if anything is picked up, it is also removed from the system, removed from the cool storage rooms, incinerated immediately.
Yeah. Roshell, I want you to tell us a little bit more about the term safe blood. And does that mean that you test the blood that you get for, say, for instance, hepatitis, HIV? If you could please tell us a little bit more about that.
No problem. Thank you so much. So safe blood. We have the slogan, safe blood starts with me. So as a donor, we need our donors to be 100% honest when they do fill in the form, because you do write on your medical history. And there's also a third section on the form where you also fill in on your behavior as an individual. So if you lead a good, safe, healthy lifestyle, that's the start of becoming a blood donor. Once you donated the blood, the South African National Blood Service test your unit of blood every single time you donate. We do the ABO blood grouping system, although a donor's blood group never changes. We do the HIV testing, we do hepatitis, and we do test for syphilis, and also we test for any other antigens. Antigens is any other. You could have had a flu just before you're donating.
Yeah.
You could have had a flu after you donated. And sometimes the virus stays in there. This is what antibodies and antigens are. And this is made sure 100% by our technologist staff. They are situated in blood banks before the blood is transfused to a patient.
So that would then include your NAT testing system. Could you please tell us a little bit more about that?
So the NAT system is one of the safest, and we in South Africa, the South African National Blood Service is one of the first to be experimenting and have this in place.
That is
the
wonderful.
NAT system.
Roshell, you're a very interesting person.
Thank you so much.
Share with me, how did you end up with SANBS?
As from a little girl, I always liked medical fields. I was always the in-house nurse in the family amongst the little ones, out the neighbors, nursing the neighbors' kids if we all played together, put the plaster on, tied the bandage and got them going to continue with the game. And one day I was scrolling around and I came to Sunny Park Shopping Centre, which back in the days was the centre to be at.
I remember.
Yes, and then I looked into and I saw this very medical clinic company, and I walked in and the receptionist gave me a briefing on what the South African National Blood Service is about and what do they do. And she was very kind. She took me through a tour in the building. And I found this to be so interesting that people offer their time coming in to donate blood, and here's staff in very nurse-type uniform, and that got me so feeling good. And as I left, the lady asked me, "Are you employed at the moment?" At that moment, I was just doing a part-time job. I was not employed permanent. And so the very friendly reception lady gave me the details and contact numbers of who should I phone. And this was kind of the head office down in Van der Waal Street in Pretoria, though. And when I contacted them, I was easily called for an interview. You know, technology has changed so much. So back then it was like, tell me more about yourself. And I had to do a typing test. And
my goodness.
Yes.
Nobody does that any longer.
No, and 2 or 3 days down the line, the HR department phoned me and said, well, we do have the job offer.
Oh,
and I was
wonderful.
absolutely excited.
That's wonderful. So you've been with them for how many years now?
30 years.
Congratulations. That's an absolute lifetime.
Thank you so much. Until to date, every day is a new opportunity. I love working with people. And ultimately, I need to go out and find all these new opportunities to keep the staff in the teams, the nursing staff, busy on a daily basis in order for the South African National Blood Service to collect 3,000 500 units of blood to supply patients.
That's a big responsibility you carry.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work, for your hard work.
Thank you so much.
Now, please tell us if people want to donate, do they contact SANBS? Is there a national contact number, or how do they go about donating?
Yes, we do have a toll-free number. The toll-free number is 0800 11 90 31. I can repeat it.
Yes,
0800 11 90 31.
And you guys cover the whole of South Africa.
That's correct.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Roshell, for your time and the valuable information that you've given us this morning. You've certainly inspired me.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity. We're looking forward and we are ready for action. Thank you.
Alfa-Eden Education Centre will be hosting a special marker day on the 9th of August from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the SANBS will be there as well, so please come and meet them and support them.